we are going to learn Git and GitHub. You may not be able to complete it today. If you are unable to, we will complete it in the next class. Then please, there will be no class next week Friday. I have an event at that starting by 8:30 by that same next week Friday. So please, our next class will be the following week. Now, we are starting with Git. Git is a version control system. Come here, click on, type Git download, on Google. Download Git for your operating system. After downloading it, install it. After installing it, then you are good to go. So you want to download, after you've installed and download Git, now I want to discuss the reason you need Git. In fact, I'm bringing this in primarily because of your assignments. After this session, Git and GitHub session, I expect you now to use your GitHub account to submit your assignments. So what you'll be doing is that you'll be sending the links to me afterwards. So Git is a version control system. That means, let me create a folder for today's session. I'll say PHP Git. So I've created this folder called PHP Git. All the projects we're going to discuss today and in the next few classes will be inside this PHP Git folder. So let's assume I have a folder. Let's say this is for school app. So this is a school app. Inside this folder, I can have multiple files, many files inside of it. And also, let's say I'm working for a school. Sorry, someone is about to join the class. You are welcome to class. So let's say I'm working for a school. I'm building a web app for a school. After building the first version, then the school asked me to add some new features. Then I added some features. Then the school still asked me to add some new features again. I added some new features, making the third version. But sometimes, after adding codes like this, your application may break. That is, application that used to work may suddenly stop working after you've added new codes. Right. So what you want to do at that point is to quickly revert back to the last version. That is, you want to go back to the last stable version. Git makes this possible. Git makes it possible for you to switch from one version of your application to another version. I can be in version 10 and switch back to version 2. Or I can be in version 2 and switch to version 8. It makes it flexible to switch from one version to another version. Do we understand this?
Yes, sir.
So that is Git, a version control system. We also have GitHub. Please go to this website, github.com, and register there. github.com. github.com is like Google Drive for developers. This is where you're going to be putting your codes, and you put your codes here and all of that. So go to github.com, register there. We're going to need it later. Maybe not tonight, but I think in the next class we'll get to GitHub. So it's a Google Drive for developers where we push your codes, where you keep your codes, and you can collaborate with people on GitHub. So having said that, I will open this folder in my VS Code. I have a file. I say index that. Okay, we've been doing PHP. Index.php. This is not a PHP. How do I say? This is not inside my htdocs. Like, this part is not mainly to explain PHP. This part is mainly to explain Git and GitHub. Inside this place, I have a PHP code. Echo it's going to echo hello world. Let's say you can also echo this is landing page. This is the landing page. Let's create about page. Let's make it HTML. Since we are just echoing something, we are not writing scripts. This is about page. So let's say we have these two files. One is PHP, while the other is HTML. The two pages, they are inside our school app. And let's say this is all our school app has at this moment. Now, after you've installed Git, like I said, the first thing you need to do is to register with Git. What I mean is this. You want to configure yourself with Git. You come here on your device, on this, in your PC system, you search for, after you've installed Git, you now have something called Git Bash. You can use Git Bash now. So you open it. You are going to run this command. You say git config -- global user.name, then you put your name there. Sorry, someone is about to join the class. You are welcome to class. So you say git config -- global user.name, there you put your name there. So in this case, I put my name. So let's discuss what this command does. Remember I said Git is a version control system that helps you to save different versions of your application, right? But Git needs to know you. Before you can do anything, you need to first do some configurations. And there are two ways you can do the configurations. The first way is to do the configuration project by project. That is, when you start the first project, let's say today I'm working on School App, I decide to configure myself there. Tomorrow, when I'm working on, let's say, hotel management system, I can configure myself again. Next tomorrow, when I'm working on, let's say, social media app, I can configure myself again. That's the option number one. Option number two is to do a configuration once and for all, so that you don't need to do it project by project. And we are going for the second option. What makes them different is this. Let's look at this command. Git config, then user.name, you put your name. What this will do is that it will configure me to register this name for this, like it will register this as the name of this user inside the current folder, inside this folder. I come again. It will register this user inside this current folder. That means if I have another folder another project that I'm working on, I will need to do the configuration again. So what I'm going to do in that case is that I don't want that to happen. I'm going to say -- global. That means this user should be available globally on this device. So if I start a new project tomorrow, I don't need to configure myself again. I've already been configured globally on this device. Please, any question before we move on?
Mommy. Good evening.
Good evening.
Sorry, please, I have to GitHub account. So if I want to log in, I used to have issue logging in into one. I think one is global already. I don't even know. So if I want to use the other one, if I want to sign in with the other one, I used to have problem with it. I don't know what.
Okay. Now you can whenever you want to sign in, you can do git config. Just do the same git config -- global. Right. The one done last will now be your most recent one. Do you get it? Whichever you do last becomes your default login user. Another option is to go to that particular project and you say git, let's say inside this one now, you right click on this project. Now I'm currently inside that folder. I can say git config, then user.name. So this user is only available inside the school app project, and whatever I do, it will assume that it is this user doing it. Do you understand? Please do
Yes,
it.
I get it.
So git config, but if you want it to be global, to be globally available, you need to add that global flag -- global user.name. You put your name. So that's the first step. This can be done inside any folder on your device, because this -- global makes it the same, meaning that you are registering this user globally on this device. Let's proceed. Please, before we move on, do we have any question?
No question, sir.
Press enter. So I've registered that user. Next is, you say git config again, -- global user.email. You're going to put your email address. So you've done this configuration once and for all. We are done with configuration. Let's proceed to the next thing. Remember, I said that what I just did can be done anywhere on this device. It is not peculiar to the project you are working on. In fact, initially I opened it in the root, right? You can do it here. It will work the same way, irrespective of wherever you might be, as long as you had this -- global. But Git will not automatically start monitoring all the folders on your device. It's not going to do that. If you want Git to manage specific folders, specific projects, you need to state it explicitly. So the way you're going to do that is this. I will close this terminal now so that we can look at that part. I'll close this terminal. If you are on Windows, go to the project. I want to use Git to manage this project. I will right click on the project. You select open Git bash here. If you are on Mac, when you right click, you're going to select open terminal, is it for that terminal or something. So it's going to open it in the terminal. Sorry, I want to quickly admit this person. So you right click, you select open Git bash here. So what it's going to do is that it will open that project in your Git bash terminal. The first command you're going to run is git init. Git init. Before I press enter, I want us to check something else. This project, this is the folder I want to monitor with Git. At the moment, we only have these two files. Once I run git init, it's going to create an hidden file. And if that hidden file is not there, it will not be able to use Git to manage it. What git init does is that it will create an hidden file inside that project. So let me see if hidden file is enabled for viewing here. I'm coming. Okay, show hidden files. Good. You come here and say git init. Now you can see something called main here. At your own end, yours might be master. There's no problem with that. It may be main, it may be master. No problem with that. Can you see this folder? This is an hidden folder now. When you run git init, you will see initialize empty git repository, the path to that project. Then you will see main or master. That means that it has been initialized successfully. And it's going to create this hidden folder there. Now, I do advise that you hide this folder so that you don't mistakenly delete it. If you delete this folder, this hidden, in fact, that's why it is hidden, so that you don't mistakenly delete it. If you delete it, you are going to lose all the things you've committed. So that's why you want to hide it. So let's hide it together. To hide it, you click on View, Options, View, Don't Show Hidden Files, Folders, or Drives. Okay, so hidden folders have been hidden. Right? Or if there's any other hidden folder or file there, it has been hidden. So please ensure that it's hidden so that you don't mistakenly delete it. That's just the reason for that. Before we move on, do we have any question? Okay. Let's assume tomorrow I want to work on a social media app. Once I start the project, you don't need to do the git config again. You just go to that project, right click, open git bash here. Then you say git init. So for each project, you'll be initializing git for each project. You don't need to do git config again. The configuration is once and for all. Then, but you do git init per project. Let's move on. So let's go back to this school app. I just use this to explain that in case you have a new project, this is how you go about it. So I'll close this. Second one, we go back to the school application. You can create as many files as you want. Do you notice this U? This U stands for untracked. The fact that you initialize Git does not mean that Git now automatically monitors everything happening there. Or better still, it does not mean that Git saves. It monitors, but it does not save it. It does not save everything there. If you want Git to save anything, you need to tell it to save these particular things. It monitors things there, but it does not save those things. Now, the reason it needs to monitor is to know those ones that have been saved, those ones that are yet to be saved. This U means that these files, they are yet to be saved. That is, Git knows they exist, but it's yet to save them. So the next thing should be, how do we save items with Git? And here is it. There is like a tray, right? You know, a tray that used to serve things. Tray, like this. There is a tray. We call it the staging area. Staging area. So in that staging area, you can, or in that tray, right, you can add as many things as possible. You can add a file. You can add 1,000 files. You can add as many files and folders as you want. So let's assume in the staging area, initially I added 10 files. So all the 10 files go to the staging area. I'll get to the staging area now. There is a command that used to add things to the staging area. We'll look at that command later. But then, here is it. You add files to the staging area. Then you now press a command, you input a command to save everything it sees in the staging area. So you know at the moment there are 10 files in the staging area, right? So I'm going to write a command and I will say go to the staging area. Whatever item you see there, whether it is 1 or it is 1,000, save all of them. So what the command does is that it will go to the staging area, pack everything there at that moment and save them. And when it saves them, let's assume we have 10 files there. When it saves them, it will save all the 10 files together as one batch. That is, all the 10 files becomes one batch. That's like saying that becomes one commit, like one save. Well, what it's going to do is that if there are 1,000 files there also, it will pack all the 1,000 files and save them as batch 1. That is like, this is the first batch. And instantly it will clear up the staging area. It will remove everything in the staging area. Any questions so far? So here's the process. You add files to the staging area, then you save all the files in the staging area. So the first thing should be, how then do we add items to the staging area? So what I will do now is that we create more files. Let's add one. Let's say about us. Okay, we have about page. Let's say rename. What else do we have? Maybe dashboard or something. Let's see. Okay, so we have these files. All of them are not yet saved. So we only want to save just 2 of them. Maybe this contact.html and the dashboard.html. We want to save just these 2 alone. So to do that, you say git add the name of the file. The name of the file. About contact.html. So you say contact.html. What this is going to do is that it will take the contact.html and put it in the staging area. So it's now in the staging area. There's only one file there now. If you want to add another file, let's say dashboard.html, do you see that there is A here? The U has changed to A. That means it has been added to the staging area. Please, any question before we move on? Okay. So we've added the contact.html. Let's add the dashboard.html. Git add dashboard.html. So now there are 2 files in the staging area. You may want to check, how do I know those things in the staging area? There's a command. This command does not only show you the things in the staging area, but it tells you the states of your projects. So it is called git status. Git status. It will tell you those files that have been saved, those ones in the staging area, those ones that are yet to be saved. It's going to give you the whole status of the application. We call it git status. So this is telling me that these ones have been added to the staging area. Right? These ones are not tagged at all. They are yet to be added. So now we know that these 2 files are in the staging area. So you can add as many files as you want to the staging area. Next is, I said, there is a command that you can use to save everything in the staging area together. Right. We call it git commit. Git commit. Then let me make this bigger and scroll down. Let's clear this guy. Okay. So say git commit. Then you say hyphen message. You add your commit message. Git commit hyphen message. This message must be something descriptive. Something descriptive. Something that's able to explain what you're about to do. In this case, I'm about to save the contact page and the dashboard page. So I can say contacts and dashboard pages maybe added or something. So add a descriptive message. Now you can say hyphen message, or you just say -m. It's the same thing. If you want to write it in full, you put 2 hyphen message. If you want to write it in short, you just put -m alone. So whichever one you are more comfortable with. But we're going to be using this -m going forward. So git commit -m, then you add your commit message. When you press enter, what this does is that this is the one that actually does the saving. It goes to the staging area, pack all the files it sees there at that moment, files, folders, whatever it sees there, it will save all of them as one batch, as one commit. So now, those two files now, they've been saved together as a single commit. When I come back here, you notice that there's nothing here. No U, no He. Nothing. It has been saved. Any questions so far? Okay, let's press it. What if I have 100 files? Will I need to come here and say, let's say I want to add all the 100 files. Git add, I'll add the first file, then git add the second file, git add the third file. That is going to be a whole lot of work. You can just say git add full stop. What this does is that it adds all the files and folders, it adds everything to the staging area. So what I will do is this. I'll first do git status so that we look at the status of our application before we do the git add. At the moment, these two have been committed. These two are untracked. They are untracked. And that's going to give us that, telling us that these two, they are untracked. The staging area is clean. Remember I said, once you save, that clears out the staging area. As soon as you commit, the staging area becomes clean again. Right. So, but when I say git add full stop, what it's going to do is that it will add all the files and folders inside the current directory. It will add all of them to the staging area. So that means this about.html and index.php will be added to the staging area. So the two of them have been added. If you want to check, you can use the git status to check. Git status. So you can see that the two of them are in the staging area. Let's clear this screen. So the two of them have been added to the staging area. You can say git commit again -m. You had your commit message. We added the about and index.php, about.html, and index.php files added. So we've added the two and we've committed them. So the staging area becomes clean again. Now all our files have been committed. Let's proceed. When you commit a file, what Git does is that it's going to keep that particular file, the current state of the file. Git saves it. And it means that if I had new quotes, let's say my name is Taye Abidakun. I love to teach programming. You see this new line? It's not part of what we saved with Git initially. Now that is why you have this M here modified. What Git is telling us is that although about.html has been saved with Git, but the copy with Git does not contain this line. That's easy for this screen. It does not contain this line. I can add as many things as I want. Let's say register with job item sign in. So these two lines, they are not with Git. The implication of that is that in case this file gets deleted tomorrow, in case I lose this file, Git can give me this everything here like this, everything here like this, but Git cannot give me these two lines back because they were not part of those things that were saved with Git initially. The two of them, they were not part of what we saved with Git initially. We just added that. So this file has been modified. Do you understand it? Okay. you can run Git status again. At any point in time, whenever you want to check your status of your application, the state of your app, use the Git status. And it will tell you that this has been modified. That is, the version with Git is different from the most recent version. It's different from the current version. If I want to save the current version again with Git, I will need to say git add the name of the file again, about.html. So it goes to the staging area again. Git commit -m. Let's say tires information added to the about page. So it has been saved. It has been saved with Git. So now again, the state is clean. Now you may now ask that, is this how you are going to be adding them one after that? Maybe when you type 2 lines of code you commit, then you type another line you commit. No, it's not like that. Now what I can say is this on that. When you add a new feature or you create a function and you write the code inside that function, you commit it. Let's say I have a function here like this. Oh, okay, we've not done function. We've not done function. Let's say I have if, let's say, h equals to 10, if $h is lesser than, let's say, 18. We've done something like this in the past. Echo can vote. House echo, you cannot vote. Sorry, you cannot vote. It should be you can vote. So as soon as I'm done with this feature, even if I will still have some other things, it's good that I commit. Also, before you go to bed at night, please commit. Oftentimes, your code may run fine and you wake up the next morning and you just see that some things have been done. Like somehow it may just malfunction the next morning, right? So before you go to bed at night, please commit and push your projects. We'll get to pushing later. So before you go to bed at night, please commit and push. So again, this has been changed. So let's save it again with Git. So it's not that you save file by file. Instead, you save feature by feature. That is, you added this feature, you commit it. You added another feature, you commit it. A feature might require you to just change the content of a single file, while another feature might require you to change up to maybe 10 files, right? So as you make that adjustment, as you complete a feature, you commit and save. Or you can also save function by function. We get to function later in our PHP course. But what I've just mean is, please save intermittently. Don't wait till you finish your whole project before you commit and push. A lot can happen. Your system may crash. A lot of things can happen along the line. Please don't wait till you finish your whole project before you commit and push. Save, like commit, push, feature by feature or function by function. Just ensure you save intermittently. Please, this is a very important warning. Okay, let's proceed. Git add index.php. Git commit -m h check added to the landing page. So I've committed that. But we've been committing all this while. And remember I said, one purpose of Git is to make it easy for us to switch from one version of our application to another version of the application. So how do we switch? How do we even do that in the first instance? To switch, you need to first learn a command called git log. Git log. What this does is that it is going to show you your commit history. That is all the commits I've made so far inside this project. Git log. This shows all the commits you've made so far within this project. Before then, I want to clear this so that because I've made about maybe 6 commits now, if I'm right, I made about 6 commits, so you're going to see all of those commits. Let's clear the whole screen. Git log. It will start from the newest to the oldest. So this is the oldest. This was the first commit you made, followed by second, followed by third, okay, followed by 4. We've only made 4 commits. So we've made 4 commits so far. Here is the first one we made. Here is the second one we made. Here is the third one we made. And here is the most recent commit that we made. Any question? Okay, so I want to switch my application back to the state it was as at the first commit. Again, I want to switch my application back to the state it was as at the first commit. So how do we do that? Before we go there, let's discuss the meaning. Do you notice this number, this long number? We call it commit ID. Each commit has a unique ID that it does not share with any other commit. This is the commit ID of the first commit you made. Here is the commit ID of the second commit we made. Here is the third ID of the Here's the commit ID of the third commit we made, and here's the commit ID of the last commit that we made. So I want to switch my application back to the state it was when contact and dashboard pages were added. And that is why I said your commit message should be as descriptive as possible so that you're going to know what you did at that point. So we want to switch the application back to the state it was as at that time. Right. To do that, you say git checkout. Then you copy that commit ID and paste. It's not a must to copy everything to the end. I think as long as it's up to maybe 4 or 6 characters there, you are good to go. You can also copy everything if you want to. Right click, copy, then you paste. Yeah, you right click, then you paste. Your Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V will not work here. It's not working. So you press enter. This is what I will do. I want to clear the whole screen. I want you to notice something. This was main, but when I press enter, it has changed it to something else. We look at it something else now. Let's clear the whole screen. Now this is now the commit ID. It has changed from main to the commit ID. It has changed from main to the commit ID. So that means my application is at the state it was when I made the first commit. If I go back to my project now, you will notice that we only have 2 files. If you go to this place, there are only 2 files there. Like it has deleted the rest because they were not there as at that time. Do we understand? Okay. Any question? Okay. Let's move on. If I want to go back to the present state, I'm going to say git checkout. Then if yours is master, you put master here. But mine is main. I put main here. Git checkout main. So it will bring me back to the present state of my application, and all my files are back down. All of them are back. In my VS Code also, all of them are back. My files are back. Let's switch the application back to the state it was as at the second commit. We say git log. Here is the commit ID of the second commit. I will just copy the first few characters. Let's clear the screen. Git checkout. Paste. So it has switched. You can see a number here. This is the commit ID. So now we have, as at the second commit, we have these 2 files with this one. The PHP file did not have the if statement then, so that's why you can see it here. This was the state of application as at the second commit. If I want to go back to the present state, I will say git checkout main. So I'm back again to the main app. So my if statement is back now. So that is how to switch from one state to, like from one state or from one version to another version. So please ensure that you, before you add new codes, please ensure that you move back to the main version before adding new codes. You go back to the main branch. We're going to talk about branching maybe in our next class. Now again, the essence of me teaching all of this is not to primarily teach us Git, is to make it easy for you to push your projects to GitHub. So for two reasons. Firstly, so as to serve as a medium to submit your assignments. So when we are done with this Git and GitHub session, you're going to be submitting your assignment with that. Secondly, it's good to start populating your GitHub account. You start pushing codes there. It shows your progress. Employers also do ask for your GitHub account, link to your GitHub account. So it's good to start doing that. Git itself is wide and is beyond what we are doing at the moment. But this is what you will need, irrespective of whichever, whether front end, back end. Anyway, this what we are doing now will be very, or DevOps, anyone. This is very important for whatever you're going to be doing. Right. So in our next class, we continue from there. But before then, ensure you go to github.com and register. Ensure you register. Then, as regards my assignment, I didn't hear from us. I'm not so pleased with us. Then, sorry, I'll be busy next week. So our next class will be in 2 weeks' time. But before then, ensure you've registered on github.com. We are going to be pushing these codes, this project that we have offline. We push it to your GitHub repository. Question before we go? Any question? Okay. In absence of questions, we call it a day. Thanks for coming. Good night to us.